This could talk, boy, it would be a wrap. They be making some real money right now, boy. I'm telling you. Telling you. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The Bears, Chicago 2022 season. This is the worst record we talked about all year long from last year. That's crazy. We done reviewed three divisions, and we didn't have one team as bad as this team. This team went 3-14, and what was it, Jeff? They lost the last what was it, 11 in a row?
They
Because they
beat
were
the
3-2 at one point, right?
they
Right?
beat they beat the Patriots as 9-point underdogs on that Monday night. That was Justin
Right.
Fields' coming out party, and they didn't win again.
Yeah, and that was pretty bad. That you have a team that had all this potential going into the season, and they got this surefire court. They got this young gunner quarterback that's supposed to ascend them to winning because he's supposed to carry them, literally carry them, and it just couldn't happen. And by him having such a great fantasy season, everybody backed up on judging him too hard because he helped a lot of people win their fantasy leagues. But everybody understood that they put him in a position not to win.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have receivers. You had a running back that is very inconsistent in Montgomery, who's now with your rival in Detroit. And then the thing that the Chicago lacked that was a very, very telling situation of the Chicago Bears last year, Jeff, the defense was atrocious. I've never sat there and saw Chicago be that bad of a defense week in and week out. And it was really sad to see the monsters of the Midway become the puppies of the Midway. You know what I mean? The punks of the Midway. When you think about the Chicago Bears, you think about a tough, rough group of men. It doesn't even matter what year it is with the Chicago Bears. They always been rough around the edges. But last year, that was one of the softest situations I've ever seen with the Bears. Period. And I know it was embarrassing because I seen the Bears have bad seasons before, but that was an embarrassing season because literally they went into every game and you knew they were going to lose after that Patriots game. And they had games where it was like they literally just were like, we're going to refuse to win. And when you have a team that's just refusing to win the game, it's really upsetting to the crowd. They didn't gave you every opportunity to win the game, but here we are losing. Great example, Buffalo game. They had the Buffalo game won 6 times and couldn't figure it out and wind up losing. So, there's just a lot of things that say to me that I think we're being a little bit ahead of the curve a little bit here in Chicago. 7.5 wins, Jeff. So you're telling me they'll improve by 5 more wins than they did last year? I don't know about that. I see odds for plus 360. This team went 3-14 last year, Jeff. Why are we sitting here giving them all the grace in the world? I just don't understand that part. Clue me in.
It's because we always talk about this. You buying the sizzle or you buying the steak. So people want to compare Justin Fields to Jalen Hurts, and they want to take the jump that Jalen made and compare it to now what the expectations are of Justin Fields. Now, for Jalen to make that jump, it was A.J. Brown. It was Devontae Smith. It was a better offensive line. It was a better running back core, and obviously a lot better defense. And you could probably say a lot better coaching as well. So what has Chicago, who had the worst offensive line in the game, what have they done this offseason? Well, let me see. David Montgomery now on the Lions. Khalil Herbert gets the number 1 spot. They draft Roschon Johnson out of Texas, who was behind Bijan Robinson. They add DJ Moore, not A.J. Brown, DJ Moore. Another year of Darnell Mooney. There was some chemistry with Fields to commit the second half of the year. The problem is their offensive line is still not good in comparison to the Eagles, and their defense is still pretty damn bad. That 700, that 7.5 numbers there for a reason, though. Don't forget, no Aaron Rodgers. And don't forget the Vikings, who 2 years ago were the worst team in the NFL in one possession games to the best. So they're expecting regression from the Vikings, regression from the Packers, and everyone's already anointed the Lions as the division winner. I love Fields this year. I think he does make the next step. Uh, I love the addition to DJ Moore. I think Mooney will be better. I do like the Herbert Roshan Johnson backfield. I think the number's pretty close, Pops. I could see a 7-10. I could see an 8-9. The plus 360 should be around plus 500. And
Yeah.
like the Steelers, I would jump on it. I'm not going to say, I'm going to say this. Don't count the Bears out. But I think they're overvalued as the Packers are undervalued. In other words, we're ready to bury the Packers, and we haven't seen Jordan Love yet. And we want to move the Bears up into that conversation. And could it happen? It might. This by far, there's 4 teams here in this division. Call me stupid. You can do that here. Call me stupid. All 4 of these teams could win the division. All 4 of these teams could finish ass last in this division.
And see, you just beating me to the punches and stuff now, dude. And that's what I know about this division. That's why when we talk about this next team, I'm really gonna fry because I don't understand why they are minus on this situation. But my point with the Bears is this: if the Bears can get their defense to be a top 15 defense, the Bears got a shot. They got a shot. And I think the elements that Justin Fields brings, he's only going to be better this year. He's not going to regress. He's going to be better. And I sat there and watched Justin Fields for 2 seasons at Ohio State. Everybody knows I'm a big Buckeyes fan. And Justin Fields, I'm not, this might be something that sounds crazy right now, but nobody has ever played the quarterback position at Ohio State like he did. I don't care what anybody says. Justin Fields used to make me very comfortable every time he stepped on the field. Literally, even in the Clemson and Alabama, even in the Alabama blowout and all that stuff, I was still confident that they could win that game just because how good Justin Fields was. Justin Fields got a good touch pass. He got a good IQ. The guy has a brain. And that's why he's able to make those crazy runs and crazy plays because he's an ad libber. And all the guys who know how to ad lib, those are the great ones, Jeff. And you know this. And a lot of times you need a struggle to become a great player. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody ever asks about Joe Montana's rookie season. You know, he's splitting reps with Steve DeBerg, and they were the worst team in the NFL. So there's a lot of things that people just don't understand about great careers. And I think Justin Fields is a guy that's in the process of having a great career. His first year, he had a bad coach for him. Because Nagy wasn't a bad coach overall, he's a bad coach for him. And then you bring in Abelius, this guy from Indianapolis, who wants to make sure that he impresses upon the ownership that he is intrigued by the quarterback and that this quarterback, he's not worried about that he wants to develop the quarterback. And that's exactly what they did. He saw what he did best and said, go ahead and do it. But they've worked on things as well, too. And that's why I said that Chicago, it's all based on your defense because your quarterback, I think Fields can get you 6 wins by himself, but he's going to need some help to get over that hump of 7.5 games. That's how I'm feeling this year. They'll be way better than 3-14 this year. We all know that. And they do have weapons. They got a good little running game going. And then their wide receiver game has stepped up big time. DJ Moore. And we all know that they were pumping up his other receiver, my man from Pittsburgh. They were giving they were trying to make him the next Pittsburgh Hall of Famer, Claypool, before he showed how lazy he was there. And pretty much now Claypool's in Chicago with Justin. So it should be something that's going to be huge moving forward for the Chicago Bears because they have some actual playmakers. This is the first time that you've seen the Bears with an actual feasible, hey, this is kind of a good offense situation. They always have flaws on the offensive end, and it's usually at the quarterback position, but they don't have that anymore. So when you get the Bears to have a better than good quarterback, it always works out for them. And that's why we know that the Bears, like you said, you cannot sleep on them at all. You can't say that the Bears are going to still be a bad team because they didn't do all this maneuvering to still be a bad team. And it's that, and that it is what it is at the end of the day. It's going to wind up being a very, very fun season for the Bears, and I look forward to it. I can't wait till week 1 when they play the Packers. Now I'm got myself pumped up for that game. Now, Jeff, I'm telling you, that's going to be a good game come week 1. And you know what? When you think about the North, before we go into the Lions, when you think about the North, it's a beautiful day in the North because this is the first time in about 20 some odd years where you don't have Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers playing for the Packers. And this is the first time since about 1993 that you could say everybody in the division has a chance, not named Packers. That's how long the Packers have kind of ruled this division in a sense. You know what I mean? We know they haven't won it every single year, but we know that they've been the most talked about team in the division every single year. So let's move forward and let's talk about the Lions and the Detroit Lions. Boy, oh boy, a team that was at one point 1-7, Jeff, 1-7 to start the year. They finish up 9-8. 9-8. This team literally took the whole nation by storm, week in and week out, after when they went on their little run in the second half of the season. But they duplicated the same thing from 2021. They had a horrible start and then wound up playing so well second half of the season. Wound up going 6-2 and what was it? 6-1-1 second half of the season. 2021. So this team has shown that they're a second half of the season type of team, but they need to be able to put it together for both sides of the season. And that's the biggest thing with the Lions right now is that you say, okay, Lions, are we going to be playing some real? Are we for real? Is this going to actually be a season where we can say we're going to be one of those teams this year? Can we go back and duplicate what we had somewhat in the 90s? We was talking about another day. We was talking about Mel Gray and Herman Moore and Brett Perryman. And then my boy said, oh, and everybody always brings up Scott Mitchell. I'll be like, well, it was Scott. Forget Scott Mitchell. Scott Mitchell wasn't nothing but Dan Marino's backup. The quarterback in Detroit was Rodney Peete, brother. You know what I mean? And they knew they messed up when they moved on from Rodney Peete because they had drafted Andre Ward. So they put themselves in a bad position with both quarterbacks. So what happened was Fonts, who was a great coach, got confused on who to really play, and then everybody lost their job. And so the Lions thought they were being real slick and real up to date by going and getting Dan Marino's backup, who had one good game against a struggling Cleveland Browns team and pretty much got himself a job, some unnecessary money. And pretty much everybody always talks about Scott Mitchell because the Lions overspent on a guy when they could have just drafted a quarterback at the time. There were plenty of quarterbacks that were available at that time. So that's just a little story about why the Lions have been stuck in neutral for the last 30 years. So the Lions today are a team that they have a lot of expectations, Jeff. They have high expectations. It's all about it's not about trying this year, trying to win games this year. They have the idea that they're going to win games and they're going to compete. And the bettors the bettors have shown up. They weren't the favorite to start the year. The favorite was the Minnesota Vikings when they released the odds. But as every month goes by, They pour more money into the Lions because their coach has some viral moment or some type of story of how great of a guy he is. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I'm gonna go ahead. FCC, you guys can go ahead and blurt me out for later episodes, but that doesn't mean shit at the end of the day. Seriously, Detroit, sit your ass down. You know who you are, and you know that it's going to take a lot more than coaches' motivational speeches for you guys to be a really good team. I feel like for this team to really be good this year, Jared Goff has to be the ultimate game manager, but he has to take himself back to the level he was at when they went to the Super Bowl. That type of leadership level he was at when they played your Patriots back in 2018. That's the mentality that he has to have going into this season. That, you know what, we're seen as a team with high expectations. We're seen as the team that's supposed to win this division. Let's act like it. Let's act like it. We're not going to be the Detroit get along gang. We're not going to be the bad news bears anymore. We're going to go come in here and be a very good football team every week, every single week. We're gonna put the work in. You have all the offensive weapons that you've always dreamed of. Jameson, a guy that I'm still not sold on. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm just not that sold on a guy. I'm sorry. He's good, but he has injury issues, and he's already out for the preseason. They got St. Brown, who now will probably be top. What do you think he's moving at in the fantasy draft? Do you think he's a first or second rounder now?
No, he's been getting pushed to the first. Actually, on our show earlier this afternoon, he's that one guy. It'd be nice if you're picking in the back, let you grab the Diggs or a Lamb or an AJ Brown, and then you came right back with St. Brown, so he's your number two. I mean, he's probably going to have 115 to 125 catches. His problem is at the touchdowns. He's not going to get you enough on the touchdowns. His average catch is that 10, 11, 12 yards. So his yak after his catches isn't there as well. An amazing listen. He doesn't drop a ball. I mean, his work ethic is second to none. Again, the fact that Jameson Williamson out for 6 weeks, already dealing with injuries, gambling, yada yada yada. I use the 4 letters for him: BUST. Okay, they're going to need Gibbs. They brought Marvin Jones back. Their offense is going to be fine, Pops. But if you're eyeing St. Brown, do yourself a favor. Grab a wide receiver in front of him, then get St. Brown. So he's your number 2.
Well, my thing is like this. I'm like any other GM. I had St. Brown last year, and he was a key part to us winning the championship. But I feel like all the GMs that want to play cheap with players, all of a sudden, I got to let them walk. Jeff, I gotta let him walk because I'm looking at other guys in position, and I'm keep kind of putting it together that there's gonna be more game planning around him. So I might have to move on from St. Brown. You know what I mean? So if he's there after because I want to select him in the 4th or 5th. I'm not risking. I don't want to get him in the 1st or 2nd round. I don't see him as that type. I don't see it as that much of a need at that point. I can't. I'm going to probably do what I did last year and shock the system, get a quarterback early, because I think that we're starting to trend towards the quarterback now being selected earlier than the running back, since they're trying to fucking eliminate the position. You know what I mean? So, but I still think Nick Chubb's the best player overall for anybody to draft on. If you feel somebody's going to be, if you're going to make sure you got a constant, consistent player. But the only thing about Nick is if you want to keep him healthy. But let me stay on the topic real quick. I agree with you, Jeff. I think that it's a defensive situation with Detroit. If the defense doesn't step up the way that they did in the second half of the season, then this is going to be another 5-12 Detroit team. Let's just keep it real, okay? They're not going to be that good of a team if they can't get defense this year. The offense is there. It's been there. But the defense has to be a top 15 defense for them to even think about the playoffs. They still are who they are, Jeff. It doesn't change who they are. That's great. You had some good second halves of the season, but did you make the playoffs? No, you did not. Your coach can only have so many pep talks before nobody's listening. So you know how it goes, brother. You know how it goes. It's put up or shut up time. And I know old lady Ford is thinking like that as well too. She's done enough babysitting with these guys. Now it's time to show up. She's put them in place. She put them. She's let them do what they had to do to be put in place. Now it's time to win. You got the fans excited. You got the city excited. You got the NFL world excited. It's time to show up. You know, there is no excuse no more, Detroit. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be a good team this year. It's that simple. You know, I don't even remember the last time they had these guys at over under 9.5 wins. Probably my freshman year in college. I don't know, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time. All right, so let's move forward. And I know you can't wait to talk about these guys, but the Packers. Green Bay Packers. Last time we saw the Green Bay Packers, we saw them losing to the Lions at Lambeau, something that's very rare. I think what the fourth time in 40 years that's happened. Maybe the third time it's happened, but it happened. And they pretty much said good riddance to Aaron Rodgers. I think everybody knew that was Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay last year. And now you have the Packers finally can breathe easy. They got their coach, their brand new. They got their coach now who has really no excuse on how to approach seasons. The guy had a head start, 27-5 over a 2-year stretch, and then goes 8-9 last year. But it was because his quarterback was a middling quarterback. He wasn't an above average quarterback for him. So, are you really a good coach, or was Aaron Rodgers that just good of a player to put you guys in a position to be that dominant of a team? Now, I feel that Jordan Love is more than ready because by Rodgers staying that extra year, Jeff, and really the year he got the extension, that should have been the writing on the wall for Green Bay to move on. But they didn't. They thought that they could have Aaron Rodgers for life and that we were kumbaya. You know, we'll move, you'll retire for us. But Aaron Rodgers was such a punk about helping Jordan Love become a starting NFL quarterback that they literally had to go ahead and do another standoff with another quarterback to get his ass out the room. And guess who else, guess who makes the deal with him? The Jets, just like the last time. And I feel that Jordan Love has shown a lot of really good things in camp. And I think he's doing all the things that the 49ers expected Trey Lance to do. And Jordan Love was a damn good quarterback at Utah State with limited playmakers. Let's keep it real. He just played with a team that played really hard. And this is why when you look at Green Bay's situation in the over-under, Green Bay brings the most value in this division, in my opinion, when it comes to any futures. Plus 360 to win the division. Your coach has already won it twice. And actually, he's only lost about twice in the division, I think, Jeff. What isn't it twice over the last few years? He's 14-2? So, or 16-2, something like that. So the guy is good against the division. And pretty much now you have Jordan Love here, a fresher, faster quarterback who can do all those things that Rodgers was doing within that playbook, but a little bit better because he's younger and he's faster. And this really shows me that people are very quick to throw teams away because they don't have certain names anymore. But we have to remember this: the MFN Green Bay Packers, the first ever Super Bowl champions, Lombardi's boys. You never write them off. What you talking about, Willis? You know what I mean? They'll be here. They'll be there. And I like Green Bay going into the season. I think Green Bay brings a bunch of value. That plus 360 is sexy. Your thoughts, Jeff?
A lot to dissect there. Defensively, I think probably on paper the Packers have the best defense. A young head coach now that has his quarterback, a running duo of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Christian Watson came onto the scene last year with Romeo Dubs. Jaden Reed, keep an eye on him for a late fantasy swing there. Tight end, they add rookie as well. Um, again, are you buying the dip or not? The Bears opened up, 3.5 point favorites, now 2.5 point favorites opening game. Bears and Packers. So you'll know a lot right away there. That number's intriguing. There'll be some ebbs and flows and some dips throughout the year here. A division again that I'm going to go on record to say any one of them can win, any one of them can finish last. I think the number's set pretty good here. I could see 7-10. I could see 8-9. Maybe even 9-8. There is value on the plus 360 there. I'll tell you this: I'm not buying the chalk. That number there, I'm not buying the chalk on the Lions here. So I see where your eyes are here. I think Vegas has got this one pretty good though. So does the Packers win the division? Could they? Sure. Will they? I'll know more, say October 1st. How's that, Pops?
See, and that's the whole thing, Jeff. We just over here throwing stuff at the wall. We know that. And we know that it takes 6 weeks to really understand the race because we're going to have teams that are going to come out 2-0, win by double digits first two games, and wind up losing 6 in a row after that. And they'll say, which team is that? It could be the Arizona Cardinals. Sometimes teams just have, it's a week-to-week season. It's not, every 4 weeks. It's week-to-week season, really, and every time you win, you had a great practice that week. Every time you lose, you had horrible practices that week. They'll never tell you how practice goes. You know what I mean? We never know until we get to Sunday. So that's why I always say we got to love the NFL because how unpredictable it is. We could have a team start the first month of the year and they'll say, this looks like a playoff team. And then 2 months later, this looks like the team that's going to be drafting in the top 5. They kind of did that with the Bears last year. They got excited with the Bears when they beat your Patriots. Oh, they're coming. Oh, we shouldn't have slept on them. Then they just continued to get their ass kicked week in and week out. Yeah, it's a week by week. A team can look like the greatest team that ever played the game of football one week. Then the next week they look like a JV team over at the Riverside School of the Deaf. So it's a week by week situation. It does vary. So let me go ahead, move us forward because Jeff's giving me the hurry up look. So let me go ahead and get us to Minnesota, cold like Minnesota, cold like Minnesota. And we over here, we sleeping too hard on Minnesota. Now we done ran into the team with probably the best record other than the Eagles that we've talked about. And the Minnesota Vikings were an absolute gem of a team last year because they understood how to win close crunch games. It didn't matter how the game went. They won. They won. They had the clutch gene last year, and everybody was pissed because it was them with the clutch gene last year. And all I got to say is Buffalo game. Buffalo game. That right there should have showed you that, you know what, when this team is moving is running on all cylinders, they're one of the best in the NFL. No doubt. They have a roster that's built to be a Super Bowl team. It's just, do you have a coach that can get you there? Do you have a quarterback that can get you there? They just don't have the leadership, in my opinion, the Minnesota Vikings. When you look at the Vikings going into the season, I feel like they're literally disrespecting the Vikings. Come on, dude. Over under 8.5. They won 13 games last year. And plus 235 to win the division over a Detroit team minus 110. Detroit ain't won the division in 35 years, dude. What are we doing here? What, not 35, but about 32 years. So you have them in position to win the division, but then you have a team in Minnesota that absolutely ran roughshed on the whole division last year and finished 13-4, and you got them at plus 235. I would more be ready to sign up with what the Vikings are doing than what the Lions are doing. The Lions are over here hoping and wishing. The Vikings have the team that can actually run the table in this division. They're the only team that you really have confidence in to win this division at the end of the day. I'm not picking them to win it yet, but if you pick anybody to win the division just off the top of your head, it's Minnesota. Why not? Justin Jefferson is considered an MVP candidate, offensive player of the year candidate. Yeah, you lost Dalvin Cook, but you still got McKisson there as well too. Then you got TJ Hawkinson there, and then you still got a pretty good defense there as well too. It's just about the fact about the Vikings being closers. They just can't close, and that's where everybody has their gripe at. But at the end of the day, the Lions present the best value out of any team we've talked about today. Jeff, your thoughts?
A team again 2 years ago that was the worst in the NFL on one possession games, and last year they were the best. What sticks out to me the most about this team is go back to the playoffs where they had that 13-4 record, yet everyone in their world had the Giants beating them, and they did. And so that might have been the start of what's yet to come, why you're seeing such a big difference in the numbers here from 13 wins to an over-under of 8.5. Um, they lose Dalvin Cook, in comes Matson. They have Ty Chandler. They also have Homer from Chicago over there trying to get some reps in there. Justin Jefferson, considered the best wide receiver in the game. They lose Adam Thielen now with the Panthers. They add Jordan Addison from USC, who's supposed to step right into Thielen's shoes. They got TJ Hawkinson midseason. All the numbers say to me, I'll be honest with you, Pops, I think they actually go under the 8.5. I think they're going to lose a lot of these close possession games. But again, it's a division where they're all going to beat up on each other. Everyone's expecting the Lions. I have to say this about the Lions for one quick second, because I didn't say much about them during the show, is you have to remember they open up Thursday night at Kansas City. Okay. So if they have an under over of 9.5, and they're 6.5 point underdogs in Kansas City, let's say they lose to Patty Mahomes. Let's say they start the year 0-1. So now you got 16 games to get your over 9.5. They're going to have to do what? Well, they're going to have to win 10 games, and they're going to have to go 10-6 in those last 16 games to get the over there. So I'm listen. Can the Vikings win this division? Hands down, of course they can. Plus 235 is a gift, and especially if the Lions start the year 0-1. And you know this: Chicago or Detroit, they play each other. Divisional game. One of them's going to start 0-1. So you might want to wait till after week 1, or you might want to jump in now. A division, like I says, all 4 teams can win this thing, and all 4 can lose it. So I think Vegas has got this one properly priced, Pups.
And there it is. There it is. And pretty much another really, really good show, another really good way of breaking it on down. I thank you so much for that, Mr. Dawson. And when I look at this division, one last statement that I have before we sign off. But I feel like when you look at this division, you say, okay, when you look at roster, you probably say, to me, the Vikings probably got the best roster, okay? When you look at the coach situation, you say Green Bay probably has the best coach when you look at the record of the division. When you look at a team that has the best chemistry, you look at the Lions. And then when you look at a team that has the look of a team that's ascending and has the superstar of the division, it's the Bears. And that's why we come down to this division being other than the AFC South, this division is probably the most wide open division of them all. And it's the most wide open division in the NFC. And that's tough to say because I'll have a little bit more to talk about. I thought it was going to be the South, but The more and more I look at the South, I've kind of came up with my assumption about how that division is going to go, but we'll talk about that more next week. But the North is going to be both North divisions are going to be a very difficult situation. And when we look at the AFC North, same kind of thing. You look at it in a sense, you got the Bengals probably have the star power, have the best star power. The Ravens have the best roster, both sides. Steelers have the best coach in Tomlin, and the Browns have, like I said, like I was pretty much just said about the Bears, they probably have the two superstars of the division in Deshaun Watson and Chubb, meaning that they'll be the most talked about people in the division most times. So we got some parity here, and I just really can't wait to break out all my over unders when we do part 4 of of our shows and stuff like that. But with that, I can't keep folks too much longer. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Jeff, any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, another week under the belt. Enjoy the NFL this weekend. 2 games tonight, Carolina at New York and the Bengals at Atlanta. Got a full slate on Saturday afternoon and a game on Sunday with the Saints at your Chargers. So excited for fantasy, excited for the NFL Bet Exchange. More data to get in, more processing, who's getting cut, who's getting added, who got injured, who didn't get injured. So everyone stay tuned here. Always honored and blessed to be a part, and a big season ahead of us coming soon.
Yes, I cannot wait. And absolutely incredible stuff coming from both of us as we move along in this NFL season and all that good stuff. I'm excited, man. I am really excited about this year. Maybe because I won my fantasy title last year. That's why I'm probably really excited. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm getting a little nervous now because once you win the league, you start worrying about putting together the perfect roster. But then you have to figure out that they're gonna have to show up for you first too. It don't matter who you put on that team; they're gonna have to show up. So man, great show today. Thank you for everybody who watched the show today. We'll be back next Friday. Hopefully, if Jeff doesn't have any issues with internet or anything like that, or little dogs running in the room, drop kicking them or anything like that. So, we'll be back next week to talk some more, and me and Jeff will be together on Thursday to talk some LA East Coast stuff as well too. The Primetime Angles is going to be coming up probably in the next 45 minutes to an hour, so you guys make sure to be ready for that. Going to be breaking some stuff down, and then we got talking tickets as well too. So thank you so much for tuning in one last time, and with that, we are gone.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was